Hi everybody, it's Alyce-Kay from Threshold of Hanini. I'm going to try a different setup today so that you can see my sewing machine a little bit better. The only thing is that the camera is right in front of my face. So we'll see if I can do this without bumping into it. Also, I have to keep everything in a pretty small spot, but I think this way you'll be able to see it better. So we're working on this frankenpaper roll, and I wanted to show you what I do when I want to change to a different color scheme. Okay, so you can see here I've got like pretty warm colors mainly. Okay, and then I'm slowly adding in more cool colors to it. What I did was I have this piece of fabric that has warm and cool colors on it. That could kind of be a warm color, but it's heading towards the cool colors. I'm going to turn on my sewing machine. There we go. And so I'm starting to work those cooler colors in, and then here you can see I've got cooler colors too. So I've heard a lot of women say something that they do that I want to pass on to you, even though I don't do it, and that's that they do all of their journals in one basic color scheme. I think that's an awesome idea. I can't do that because I would get bored, but for those of you who can, it's a great idea. So anyway, but if you're like me and you would get bored using one color scheme, this is a way to work more of those scraps in and mix them in. The other thing is that this starts getting really long and unwieldy, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it. I want to be careful not to roll it too tightly because I don't want to wreck any of the paper, and I'm just going to roll what I've absolutely completed. I may still go back and stamp some of this, but then I can just unroll it, but for now, for the sewing part. And then I use a big paper clip and I clip it like this, okay? And then as I get some more done, as I get like, another foot or two done, then I'll roll that too. But it just makes it a lot easier for moving it around in the sewing machine and stuff. Okay, so I'm going to continue adding more of the cool colors. So I've got some here that has some blues and greens on it, and I think that's going to be really good. This is actually from some frankenpaper that I made before. I'm looking for my scissors. There they are. So I want to cut this into smaller pieces. I had cut this frankenpaper up to use for different things, and so I put the scraps into my frankenpaper bin for making more. So that's kind of handy because then I've already got some things sewn together here. Okay, so I'm gonna put those. What's going on there? This one's just plain. I think that was the paper that was underneath it, so let's just take that out. We don't want to have too many layers here. I wouldn't go to a lot of trouble taking that out, but since that was coming apart easily. Now these pieces are sticking up, so I'm going to sew them together really quickly before I start sewing here. Oh, and I think you'll be able to see my wonderful sewing machine. Look at this. It cuts the thread itself. It threads itself too. My husband got this for me when we were first married. It was very sweet of him. And then, he started noticing that I was a lot calmer when I spent some time sewing each day. So he started telling me, I think you need alone time with your sewing machine. And that was just so sweet. So, yeah, so I got to spend time with my sewing machine every day, and he loved my junk journals. He absolutely loved them. When I started doing that, he just thought they were the best thing ever. So it was neat because we kind of shared the same tastes in a lot of things. Okay, actually we shared the same tastes in pretty much everything. We were only married for 4.5 years before his accident. We met when he was 73 and I was 53. So, and now he was a sweater maker. He used vintage hand-operated knitting machines. One of them was from 1890s. And so now I have to sell his inventory for his estate, which is hard, but what am I going to do with all that, right? And I have to get money for the estate. So anyway, so I'm auctioning it on Facebook. So if you are interested in sweaters, they're going for really, really good prices. Just let me know and I can secure you an invitation to my group. Okay, so let's go ahead and sew these on. And then I have a whole thing of scraps here. Oops, this goes with the warm stuff. I have a whole thing of scraps here that that will be like the cooler colors. And I just saw, here's a tag from like making sweaters and stuff. He retired a couple months before his accident, so he had given me a bunch of his stuff to use as you know, for junk journals and stuff. Like, he gave me all of his buttons. He actually suggested that I sell his buttons, but I'm like, nope, I think I can use all those. So sorry guys. Yeah, so anyway, it's been just a little over 2 years. It's still hard for me a lot of times, but I'm doing better. Okay, so like, I don't want to put these two pieces together because they obviously kind of go together. So I'm going to move them down here. So I don't know, I'm not sure if I want to say this or not. I'm actually kind of sort of dating someone. I think I'm ready. It's so hard to know, you know, and everybody has told me everyone's different. Some people start dating, they can date like 6 months after they lose their husband, and other people never feel that they can get married again. And I think I want to get married. I'm just not sure if I can. You know, we'll have to see. And this is somebody that I've known for a long time, and we had actually dated before. And he knows, you know, that I may not be ready, that I'm trying to figure that out and stuff. But he called me a few months ago and asked if he could be back in my orbit. And he lives in Minnesota, and I'm in Tennessee, so that's a long way away. So it's been kind of safe. He came down for a while in December. Well, he was kind of like back and forth, December, January, February, through April, actually. Back and forth, because he ended up having knee surgery down here, and I took care of him, which was fun. I like taking care of people. And you know, then he's been back up in Minnesota for a few months, and he's coming down. His family is actually coming down, not, you know, specifically to meet me or anything like that. We aren't that serious yet, but mainly they're going to a concert for his daughter's husband's birthday, so they're gonna come out here, and we're gonna spend a couple days together and go see the sights. They want to get back into nature. They're city dwellers, and we've got lots of nature around here. Okay, I don't think I want to go to lime green just yet. That's a little bit too much. Let's do, okay, so like, I've got some of these like pieces from the calendar. That would be good. Ooh, some gold. That's always flashy, huh? Feels like that's 2 layers. Well, if it's too much, there we go. I was going to say, if it's too much trouble to get it apart, then I'll just sew it the way it is. Oh, and then I've got, okay, so you know how you get those checks that are, you know, they're for, you know, if you cash this check, then you owe $35,000. So I thought, instead of just tearing it up and throwing it away, I'll tear it up and I'll use it on my, see, like, on my frankenpaper. Oh, here, and so then there's also some stamps that I found on some letters that I'd saved. Tickets, those will be for a little bit later in the cool color scheme. Oh, and some pretty pink. That'll be nice with the green. Okay, so that's enough to start. Oh, and a spool top from thread. Isn't that great? I think that'll be fun. Okay, so let's put this right here. And if you have some spaces that you've got like what you feel is too much white or something, I'll show you a little bit later what you can do with those. I'll have to look for some pieces that have some white on them so I can sew them on, and then I can make sure that I show you what to do with that. My plan for making this frankenpaper is not to show you my whole process because that would just take too long, but I'm trying to show you like the how-to parts. So like I think the next video will probably finish making the frankenpaper. I'll probably, you know, do some just on my own, and then we'll finish making the frankenpaper roll, and then the following video I'll show you how to use it. Lots of different ideas for using it. I hope that sounds good. So yeah, so he's coming down, and that'll be fun. Let me sew another strip on here. Okay. So sometimes I use a scrap to actually sew the strips together. This time I'm not, for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, so this one has quite a bit of white on it, so I'll show you a little bit later what we can do with that. Let's see here. There we go. So I'm trying to think like where they might want to go. There's so many beautiful places around here, y'all. I live in the foothills of the Appalachians, and so it's just gorgeous, and they're only going to be here for like, I mean, basically only one day that we can do something in. Well, I don't want to cover up all that money stuff. Let's find some stuff to go alongside there. Maybe some pieces of ticket. Well, that's going to cover it up. Let's see if I can slide this under. Yeah, so it's like just one day, what do I show them? Because there's so many beautiful things around here, and I mean, it is nature here. The town that I live in is only 6,000 people, which for some of you might be a big town. But they are from the Twin Cities, so for them, that's really, really tiny. When I tell my Chinese kids, you know, who live in cities that are, well, let's just put it this way. Beijing, it would take 13 of the population of Beijing to equal the entire population of the US. Okay? So Beijing is gigantic. I can't remember how many million people it is. And so when I tell my kids, my students, that I live in a town that's just 6,000 people, they can't even imagine that. It's so funny to them. And yeah, we have 3 stoplights. And, you know, they have these huge traffic jams. And I'm like, yeah, a traffic jam where I live is like three cars at the same stop sign and stuff. So, yeah, so I'm trying to plan this thing for them so that they can see what the Appalachians are like, which I think is really cool. And I'm thinking probably the best thing would be to go to Cherahela Skyway. You can drive all the way from East Tennessee to North Carolina, and we don't have to go all that way. If you drive that and you don't stop at all, it's like, I think it's like an hour and a half or so. But the whole point for me in taking people up there is that they can see how beautiful the scenery is. So, yeah, so it's like, that can be an all-day thing, and you can come back on the Tail of the Dragon, which is a really famous motorcycle route, because it's got like 300 and something curves in, I think, 19 miles or something insane like that. Okay, so this has a lot of white space on it too, so I'm going to put that on there, and then I'll show you in a few minutes. I'm not going to do too much of this because I think this is probably kind of boring to watch, don't you think? So I'll go to the end of this strip, okay, and then I'll show you what I do with the white spaces, because that's kind of fun. Okay, now we need some color things here to go in here. I think I've got some ribbon or something. What do I have? I didn't already use that tag, did I? Okay, I've got stuff out here. Well, we've got that gold. That'll be good. I'm looking for cold colors, remember? Okay, cool colors. Okay, so here's some green lace and some green fabric and a little bit of this blue edging. Okay, so let's see what we can do with this. I think we can put this right here. Okay, and I'm going out past the edge, so I've got to kind of feel where the edge is and make sure that that's where I sew. So, you know, if you get a book of paper, a pad of paper, it usually has one of the edges, like where you tear it off, it's got this dotted line here, so I use that for frankenpaper. I think that's just fine for frankenpaper. Okay, let's put this fabric here. Is that the, nope, that's not the right side. There we go. Okay, so this is more like, you know, greens and blues and pinks. So, I don't know, where do you guys live? Do you live, where do you live? What's the most interesting thing where you live? Like, if I were to come out and visit you, what would you want to take me to see? I want to put the money amount out there on the outside so it doesn't get sewn over. We also have a lot of waterfalls here and tons of hiking. Of course, that's how I got Lyme. But yeah, I still want to hike. I want to get well enough to where I can hike. At this point, I think I can walk. I've been working on it. I think I can walk probably about, I might be able to do a mile, like half a mile out on a trail and then half a mile back. If I can sit down, like before I turn around, if there's some place to sit. I do have a cane that has a chair on it, but when I'm, or a seat, not a chair, but when I'm walking, I need to use my trekking poles, 2 walking sticks basically. So I can't really take that with a seat, so I need some place to sit down and rest because my legs are part of the problem from having Lyme, and so yeah, I cannot walk very far. All right, so let's put this up here. Oh no, we've already got some like that. Let's, ooh, how about that? That's nice. I like that with a little lace here, yellow lace. Can you see that? And later, when I'm not on camera, because it's too boring to watch it, I'll go back and I'll sew down all the edges. Okay, so that's why, like, when you look at this, there's not nearly as much thread as when you're looking at this, because I went back and sewed down all the edges. And it's important to do that. Okay, how about this? Right here. I'm just sewing fabric, I'm sewing, you know, whatever I've got here. So let's put this tag in here. I think that's good. There, okay, so that's going to leave us with some white space too, so that'll be good. We can do something with that. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to stop there because honestly, you guys, I think I'm probably boring you at this point. All right, so I think I've got to, let me see if this is in the, yeah, that's in the camera. Okay. All right, so what I've got here, I've got a few white spaces. I've got this is getting kind of white. This is white here, and this is white here, and this is kind of blank. So here's what I like to do, several different things. Okay, so one thing I like to do is stamp it. Okay, so I can take my bee stamp and get plenty of ink on it, and I can stamp some of the places that are kind of blank here. Okay, and then another thing I can do is I can, you know, sometimes I use other colors, but I'm just kind of trying to do this quickly. I can take this stamp that I haven't cleaned yet. I could probably just lay it down on it and it would stamp it. I don't know. And I just, you know, do some stenciling here. Okay. And another thing that I do is I actually, and this is something I really enjoy doing, is I like to take a pen and write. Okay, so I could write, I love you. I love you. Okay, maybe put a heart out here. Okay, I could write 80 and 7 years ago. And this probably won't all get used in the same place. Okay, it might, but it probably won't. I can write, let's see, how's the weather? Okay, so those are 3 things that you can do if you have some blank spots. Not, you know, like I would still put something there, but those things that you put there have some blank spots, and it makes it just kind of fun. Okay, now it wouldn't be as much fun to use this in a journal that I'm making for myself because that's my writing, but for a journal for somebody else, that's really cool to have someone else's writing, right? Okay, so then I'm still going to sew up all the edges, but after I do that, then I'll roll it so I have an easier thing to work with, and I'll hook my paper clip. Where's my paper clip? Right there. I'll hook that onto it, and it'll be a nice piece to work with. And I'll just keep doing this until I use up all my scraps. Okay? So, yeah. I have a lot of, well, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a lot of frankenpaper that I've made, some of which, oh, see, I used a tag here, and I used one of our pictures here. Some of which I have up on Etsy. Not all of this. Sometime I'll go through all of this and I'll just show you what all I have, and if you want any of it, you can order it even if I don't have it on Etsy. Alright, so that's it for today. Next time I will show you how I finish up a roll of frankenpaper. Alright, I love you all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.